The silence of space felt different today. Captain Daejung stood on the bridge of the Times, indomitable asterisk, watching the stars through the viewport. His coffee had gone cold an hour ago, but he didn't care. Something was wrong. He could feel it in his bones. "Captain, we're receiving a signal," Hana said from her station. Her voice was tight, professional, but Daejung heard the worry underneath. She was good at her job, one of the best communications officers in the fleet. When she sounded worried, everyone paid attention. "Put it through," Daejung ordered. The speakers crackled. A woman's voice came through, broken and desperate. "This is New Jeju Colony. Under attack. They're killing everyone. Please, someone help." Static swallowed the rest. Then screaming. Then, nothing. Daejung's blood turned to ice. "Hana, where's that signal coming from?" "New Jeju Colony, sir. It's 4 hours away, at maximum speed. Get us there. Now." Daejung grabbed the comm. "All hands. Battle stations. This is not a drill. The Times." Indomitable Times tore through space faster than regulations allowed. Nobody complained. They all heard the transmission. They all heard the screaming. 4 hours felt like 4 days. Daejung didn't sleep. He couldn't. He kept seeing his sister's face. She lived on New Jeju with her family. 2 million people called that colony home. When they arrived, Daejung wished they hadn't. New Jeju was burning. The colony domes were shattered. Atmosphere vented into space in frozen clouds. Ships floated dead in orbit. Civilian vessels torn apart by weapons fire. The Times, Indomitable's Times, sensors swept the planet. They found 2 million life signs. All flatlined. Every single one. "Sir, I'm detecting residual energy signatures," Hana whispered. "Thalrak's weapons. Multiple ships. Probably a full battle group." Daejung said nothing. He couldn't speak. His sister was down there. Her husband. Their 2 children. Dead. All dead. "Captain, we're getting reports from the ground teams," another officer said. "They're finding bodies. Lots of bodies. Men, women, children." The Thalraks didn't just bomb from orbit. They sent troops down. They executed survivors. The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew what that meant. This wasn't a military strike. This was murder. This was genocide. 2 days later, Admiral Taman stood before Earth's government. The chambers were full. Every representative was there. Every media outlet was broadcasting. The images from New Jeju played on screens throughout the room. Bodies in the streets, children clutching toys, homes turned to ash. "The Thalrak's ambassador has issued a statement," Taman said. His voice was calm, controlled, but his eyes were hard as diamonds. He claims New Jeju was a necessary response to human territorial expansion. He calls it a defensive action. Angry shouts filled the chamber. Representatives stood, shouting over each other. Taman waited for silence. The Galactic Council has responded as well. They offer their thoughts and condolences. They cite non-interference protocols. They will not intervene. They will not punish the Thalraks. They will do nothing. More shouting. Taman raised his hand. The room quieted. The Council believes this will end here. They believe we will accept this tragedy and move on. They believe humanity will continue to play by their civilized rules. Taman's jaw tightened. They are wrong. On the other side of the galaxy, Mireille sat in the Galactic Council chambers. She was Earth's representative. Had been for 10 years. She believed in diplomacy. She believed in peace. She believed in the system. Not anymore. The council members were discussing trade agreements. They moved on from New Jeju like it was yesterday's weather report. 2 million dead humans. And they talked about grain shipments and tax codes. The Thalrak's ambassador sat 3 seats down from her, looking bored. Mireille stood up. The council speaker looked annoyed. Representative Mireille, you are out of order. We are discussing. I resign, Mireille said. Her voice echoed in the chamber. The speaker blinked. I beg your pardon? I resign from this council. Effective immediately. I will not sit in the same room as murderers. I will not pretend this system has any meaning when it allows genocide to go unpunished. The Thalrak's ambassador stood. Your species should learn its place, human. You are newcomers here. You do not dictate terms to elder races. Mireille looked at him. Really looked at him. She thought about the children on New Jeju. She thought about the parents who died trying to protect them. She thought about humanity's long, bloody history, the wars, the darkness, the violence they worked so hard to leave behind. You made a mistake, she said quietly. For 200 years, humanity tried to be civilized. We tried to be better than we were. We worked hard to control what we are. You saw that control and thought it was weakness. She walked toward the door. Every eye in the chamber followed her. You killed 2 million of us. You think we'll accept it. You think we'll follow your rules and do nothing. She stopped at the door and looked back. Now, we stop being civilized. The door closed behind her. The council chamber erupted in argument. Nobody noticed the Thalrak's ambassador's hands shaking. Back on Earth, Daejung stood at his sister's empty apartment. Her daughter's toys were still scattered on the floor. A book lay open on the table. They never saw it coming. They never had a chance. His communicator buzzed. Orders from command. All leave cancelled. All ships recalled. Full mobilization. It was starting. Daejung picked up his niece's stuffed bear. He held it for a moment, then set it down gently on the shelf. I'm sorry, he whispered to the empty room. We tried to be better. We really tried. He walked out and closed the door. Outside, the sky filled with ships. Earth's fleet was gathering. All of it. Every vessel. Every weapon. Every soldier. The galaxy was about to learn a hard lesson. Humanity didn't start this fight, but they were going to finish it. Secretary Jiho sat in the war room beneath Geneva. The room had been built 200 years ago, after the last World War. Everyone hoped it would never be used again. Today, it was full. Generals, admirals, intelligence chiefs, and weapons designers crowded around the central table. A hologram of the galaxy rotated above them. Red markers showing Thalrak's positions. 72 hours, Jiho said. That's how long we have before they expect our formal response. They think we'll complain to the council. File protests. Maybe impose sanctions. He smiled. But it wasn't a pleasant smile. We're going to do something else. Commander Yuna stepped forward. She was small, quiet, and had killed more enemies than anyone else in the room. Her Special Forces team had a perfect mission record. What are our orders, sir? Why? Why? Every Thalrak's military installation within reach will be destroyed. Every warship. Every weapons platform. Every command center. Jiho looked around the room. No half measures. No proportional response. An older admiral shifted uncomfortably. Sir, the Galactic Council will condemn. Let them. Jiho cut him off. The Council watched our people die and did nothing. Their opinion no longer matters. Only results matter now. Kyung stood up from her corner. She was young for a weapons researcher. Barely 30, but brilliant. Sir, if we're doing this, we need to show them everything. The things we kept hidden. Everyone looked at her. Jiho nodded slowly. Show them. Kyung activated her tablet. New images appeared above the table. Weapons, ships, technologies the Council had never seen. During peacetime, we said we had 200 ships. That was true. We just didn't mention the other 1,800 we kept in reserve. We said our kinetic weapons were defensive. We didn't mention they can reach 90% of light speed. We agreed not to weaponize antimatter. We agreed. We didn't say we couldn't. The room was silent. Even the generals looked shocked. For 200 years, we prepared for peace, Kyung continued. But we remembered our history. We remembered what humans do when threatened. We built all of this, just in case. She looked at Jiho. This is the case. Somin, the intelligence chief, pulled up her own files. I've been mapping Thalrak's networks for 5 years. Every communication line, every encryption key, every command code. They think their systems are secure. They're not. I can crack their entire network in 6 hours. Do it, Jiho ordered. When we strike, they should be deaf and blind. The planning took 3 days. Nobody slept. Coffee fueled everything. By the end, they had a complete war plan. It was brutal. It was efficient. It was everything humanity promised they'd never be again. Commander Yuna's team went in first. 12 operators, the best humanity had. Their target was Station Theta 9, a Thalrak's military hub near the frontier. They disguised themselves as maintenance workers, forged documents perfect enough to fool the scanners, and walked right through the front door. The Thalraks never suspected. Humans were civilized. Humans followed rules. Humans didn't do things like this. 6 hours later, Station Theta 9 exploded. 3,000 Thalrak's military personnel died instantly. Before the debris stopped falling, 2 more stations detonated. Yuna's teams had hit 3 targets simultaneously, hundreds of light years apart. The Thalraks scrambled to respond. Their fleets activated. Their admirals shouted orders. Their communication systems tried to coordinate a defense. That's when Somin struck. Every Thalrak's military computer shut down at once. Communication channels went silent. Navigation systems failed. Weapons, platforms stopped responding. In 30 seconds, the entire Thalrak's military infrastructure went dark. Now, Jiho ordered. Earth's fleet emerged from hyperspace. Not 200 ships. 2,000. They appeared around every major Thalrak's military position simultaneously. The Thalraks had been expecting a fleet. They got an invasion. The battles were short and brutal. Human ships used weapons the galaxy had never seen. Kinetic projectiles moving at relativistic speeds punched through shields like they weren't there. Antimatter warheads cracked battle stations in half. Nanite swarms ate through hulls, turning mighty warships into floating debris. The Thalraks fought back. They were warriors, proud and strong. But they fought blind. Their systems compromised. Their communications dead. They fought confused, unable to coordinate or call for help. They fought alone, as human forces picked them apart piece by piece. In 3 weeks, the Thalraks lost 40% of their military assets. The galaxy watched in horror. The other species had always seen humans as friendly, peaceful, maybe a little naive. Now, they saw something different. They saw precision. They saw planning. They saw the kind of organized violence that comes from a species with a very long, very bloody history. The Galactic Council called an emergency session. They demanded Earth explain its actions. They threatened sanctions. Kyung appeared before them via hologram. She stood alone, representing all of Earth. "You want an explanation?" she asked. "You created rules that protected the strong and punished the weak. You built a system where genocide goes unpunished if the victim can't fight back. You told us to be civilized, and we were. We were so civilized that 2 million of us died because we trusted your system to protect us." She paused. The council chamber was silent. "You taught us a lesson. You taught us that civilization is a luxury you only get when you're strong enough to enforce it. You taught us that mercy is just another word for weakness. You taught us to stop holding back." She leaned forward. "The Thalraks murdered our people. Now we're showing them what humanity looks like when we stop pretending to be something we're not. We're not asking for permission. We're not asking for approval. We're telling you to stay out of our way. The hologram cut off. The council erupted in argument. Some called for intervention. Some called for sanctions. Some said nothing, because they were too afraid. On the Thalrak's homeworld, the High Command received a message. It came directly to their personal terminals, bypassing every security system. The message was simple. You wanted to see humanity without our civilization. This is day 21. We're just getting started. The message was signed by Kyung. Attached was a file containing the location of every Thalrak's military leader, every weapons depot, every strategic asset. The humans knew everything. The High Command realized they had made a terrible mistake. They thought humans were weak because they were peaceful. They didn't understand that humanity chose peace not because they were weak, but because they knew exactly what they were capable of when they stopped choosing it. Now they were learning. The whole galaxy was learning. And the lesson was written in fire and blood across a dozen star systems. 6 months into the war, Minho climbed into his fighter for the 3rd time that day. His hands shook. Not from fear, from exhaustion. He had been flying combat missions for 147 days straight. His co-pilot was on his 4th replacement. The first 3 died. All wings, form up, his squadron leader called. We've got a Thalrak's carrier group at coordinates 773. Command wants it gone. Minho checked his weapons. Full load. Missiles, railguns, and 1 antimatter torpedo. That last one could crack a planet. They carried them now like they were normal. Nothing was normal anymore. The fleet jumped to hyperspace. When they emerged, the Thalrak's were waiting. 30 ships, including 2 carriers. A year ago, this would have been a major battle. Now, it was just Tuesday. Weapons free. The commander said. No survivors. No survivors. Minho felt nothing as he opened fire. His missiles streaked across space, tearing into Thalrak's fighters. His railgun rounds punched through their hulls. When a Thalrak's pilot ejected, Minho's targeting computer locked on. He hesitated for 1 second. Just one. Then he fired. The escape pod exploded. The war had rules now. Different rules. Human rules. No prisoners. No mercy. Not after New Jeju. The battle lasted 40 minutes. When it ended, 30 Thalrak's ships were debris. The human fleet lost 3 fighters. Acceptable losses. Everything was acceptable now if it hurt the enemy. Minho landed back on the carrier. He climbed out of his cockpit and vomited on the deck. A mechanic looked at him with sympathy but said nothing. Everyone did it eventually. The vomiting. The shaking. The nightmares. You either got used to it, or you didn't fly anymore. On the ground, Sergeant Jiwon led her Marines through the ruins of a Thalrak's supply depot. They had landed 3 hours ago. Resistance was light. The Thalrak's were retreating everywhere now, unable to match humanity's relentless advance. Buildings clear, her corporal reported. Found some supplies. And prisoners. Jiwon walked into the building. 5 Thalrak's soldiers sat against the wall, hands bound. They looked terrified. Good. They should be. Orders are to process them for intel, and then, the corporal paused, and then execute them. Jiwon finished. I know the orders. She looked at the prisoners. Young. Probably conscripts. Maybe they didn't even want this war. Maybe they had families waiting for them. Maybe the children on New Jeju had families too. Do it quick, she said. Don't make them suffer. She walked outside before it happened. She didn't need to watch. She heard the gunshots anyway. 10 rounds. 5 prisoners. 2 shots each. Clean. Professional. Mercy was dead, but efficiency lived on. Dr. Bora worked in the medical bay of the Earthship Times' relentless asterisk. She had been a doctor for 15 years. She thought she had seen everything. War taught her she was wrong. The wounded came in waves: burns, radiation poisoning, shrapnel wounds, missing limbs. She saved who she could. The others went into bags. So many bags. The morgue was always full. But the physical wounds weren't the worst part. It was the eyes. The soldiers who came back had different eyes. Empty. Hollow. They had seen too much. Done too much. War was burning the humanity out of them piece by piece. "Doctor, we need you in Bay 3, a nurse called. Bora hurried over. A young Marine lay on the table. Hyun, his name tag said. He was physically fine, but he wouldn't stop shaking. "What happened?" Bora asked. "His unit cleared a Thalrak civilian settlement," the nurse whispered. "There were families there. The lieutenant said there might be soldiers hiding among them. So they—" "I understand," Bora said quietly. She didn't need the details. She could imagine. She sedated Hyun. He would wake up in a few hours. Then he would have to deal with what he did. They all did. Eventually. The weight of it. The knowledge that they had become the thing they were supposed to be fighting against. The Eternal. They did, man. That night, Bora wrote a letter to Earth Command. She explained what she was seeing. The psychological damage. The moral injuries. The slow death of conscience. She explained that they were winning the war but losing something more important. The letter was classified and filed away. The war continued. Private Hyun woke up screaming. The medical bay lights were too bright. Everything was too bright. He could still see the Thalrak's child running. He could still hear his lieutenant's order to fire. He could still feel his finger pulling the trigger. He found his commanding officer in the mess hall. Captain Daishim sat alone, eating something that might have been food. "Sir, I need to talk," Hyun said. Daishim nodded at the empty seat. Hyun sat. "That settlement," Hyun began. "There were no soldiers. Just families. We killed them anyway." "Yes," Daishim said. He didn't deny it. Didn't justify it. "How is that different from what they did to New Jeju?" Daishim was quiet for a long time. "It's not," he finally said. "That's the point. They wanted to see us without civilization. Now they're seeing it. So is everyone else. So are we. I can't do this anymore, sir." "Yes, you can. You will. Because if we stop now, if we show weakness now, then New Jeju died for nothing. The galaxy needs to learn this lesson. Needs to remember it. Humanity is peaceful by choice, not by nature. Take away that choice, and this is what happens." Hyun looked at his hands. They were clean. They didn't feel clean. "Get some rest, Private," Daishim said. "We deploy again. In 6 hours. Across the galaxy, the war ground on. Human forces pushed deeper into Thalrak's territory. Every day brought new victories. Every day brought new atrocities. The line between justice and revenge blurred, then disappeared entirely. Other species watched in fear. The Thalraks were one of the strongest military powers in the galaxy. Humanity was dismantling them, like they were nothing. The humans fought with a coordination and ruthlessness that terrified everyone. A delegation from the peaceful Vess species tried to negotiate. They met with Admiral Taman on his flagship. "Please," their leader begged. "Enough blood has been spilled. The Thalraks are broken. You've proven your point. Show mercy." Taman looked at them with cold eyes. "Mercy? Like the mercy shown to our colonists? Like the mercy shown to our children? You stood by and watched them die. You did nothing. Now you want us to stop? You're becoming monsters," the Vess said quietly. "No," Taman corrected. "We've always been monsters. We just got very good at hiding it. The Thalraks reminded us what we are. We're showing them. We're showing all of you." The Vess delegation left. They reported back to their government. The message was clear. Humanity had unleashed something terrible, and nobody knew if they could put it back. In his quarters, Taemin sat alone in the dark. He thought about New Jeju. He thought about all the orders he had given, all the deaths he had authorized. He wondered if they were still the good guys. He wondered if there were any good guys left. The door chimed. "Come in," he said. It was his aide. "Sir, another Thalrax fleet is in retreat. They're requesting terms of surrender." "Denied," Taemin said. "No surrender." The aide hesitated. "Sir, at what point do we stop? When is it enough?" "Oh," Taemin looked at him. Really looked at him. Young. Idealistic. Still believed in things like honor, and rules, and limits. "When we reach their homeworld," Taemin said. The aide left. Taemin sat in the darkness and wondered if he would be able to stop even then. 14 months after New Jeju burned, Earth's fleet arrived at the Thalrax home system. Over 1,000 ships surrounded their homeworld. Humanity had fought across half the galaxy to get here. Now they stood at the finish line. Diplomat Sok transmitted from the flagship. He had been a negotiator before the war. Now he delivered ultimatums. "Thalrax High Command, this is Earth's final offer. Complete and immediate disarmament. Surrender of all war leaders for trial. Reparations for New Jeju. Permanent Earth military presence in your system. You have 24 hours to respond." The response came in 12. It was not what Sok hoped for. "We are Thalrax," their leader declared. "We do not bow to primitives. We will fight to the last warrior before accepting your humiliation. Come and take our world if you dare." Seok closed his eyes. He had hoped they would see reason. Deep down, he knew they wouldn't. Warriors rarely did. "Forward the response to Admiral Taemin," he said quietly. "It's out of my hands now." On the planet's surface, a Thalrax civilian named Nari listened to her government's declaration. She felt sick. She had opposed the attack on New Jeju. She had protested in the streets. It didn't matter. The High Command did what they wanted. Now everyone would pay for their decision. She thought about her children, about her neighbors, about the millions of civilians who had nothing to do with this war, but would die anyway. The humans would not accept refusal. She had watched them fight for over a year. They did not bluff. They did not back down. Nari made a decision. She found her old communication device, the one she used in her activist days. She activated it, praying it still worked. She sent a message on an open channel, hoping someone human would hear it. "Please," she transmitted. "I am Thalrax civilian. I am speaking for many who cannot speak. Our leaders are fools. They will doom us all. We did not want this war. We did not support the attack. Please. There are millions of innocents here. Children. Families. We are not your enemy." She sent the message and waited. She had no idea if anyone received it. She had no idea if it mattered. In orbit, Captain Junho read the message. He was third-generation military. His grandfather fought in Earth's last World War. His father helped build the peace afterward. Junho joined the service to protect that peace. Now he had orders to destroy it. "All ships, prepare for orbital bombardment," the fleet commander ordered. "Target all military installations, weapons factories, and command centers." Junho looked at his targeting display. The military targets were all there. They were also right next to civilian cities. Millions of civilians. Maybe billions. The Thalrax had built their war machine into their population centers. Probably thought it would protect them. Maybe it would have. Against someone else. Not against humans. Not anymore. "Captain, targets locked," his weapons officer reported. Junho stared at the screen. One button. That's all it took. Press the button, and thousands of people died. People who never fired a shot. People who never wanted this war. People like that civilian, Nari, who sent the desperate message. People like the ones on New Jeju. "Captain?" Junho's hand hovered over the control. Back on Earth, Someone was arguing about this exact moment. Someone was saying they should show mercy. Someone else was saying mercy got New Jeju killed. Both were right. Both were wrong. There were no good answers anymore. Meanwhile, journalist Unji broadcast from Earth. Her camera showed footage from the war. All of it. The victories. The defeats. The things humanity did in the name of justice. She had been censored at first. Earth Command tried to control the narrative. But truth had a way of getting out. Now everyone saw. They saw prisoners executed. They saw civilian settlements burned. They saw human soldiers becoming the monsters they swore to fight. The footage went viral. Protests erupted in every major city on Earth. "This is not who we are," the protesters chanted. "This is not justice," others countered. "Remember New Jeju? They started this. We finish it." Earth was tearing itself apart. Half wanted revenge. Half wanted redemption. The government was paralyzed, unable to choose between justice and mercy. So they left the choice to the military. They left it to people like Admiral Taman. Taman watched the protests from his quarters. He saw the anger, the fear, the disgust. He understood all of it. He felt all of it. Every day he woke up and barely recognized himself in the mirror. There was a knock at his door. Secretary Jiho entered. He had aged 20 years in 14 months. They all had. "The High Command refuses surrender," Jiho said. "That civilian message has been verified as genuine. We have confirmation of massive civilian populations near all military targets. Our strike will cause catastrophic collateral damage. Our after 17. I know. Some of our people are saying we should do it anyway. Match what they did to New Jeju. Eye for an eye. Planet for planet. I know." Jiho sat down heavily. "What are we, Taman? Are we justice or revenge? Are we heroes or villains?" "I don't know anymore." "Neither do I," Taman admitted. "I gave orders that killed millions. I unleashed things that can't be put back. I told myself it was necessary, that it was righteous. Now, I'm not sure. So what do we do?" Taman thought about Captain Dae-jung, who lost his sister on New Jeju. He thought about Commander Yuna, who became a ghost, assassinating enemies in the dark. He thought about young Private Hyun, who would never sleep peacefully again. He thought about all the humans who sacrificed their souls for this war. "We make a choice," Taman said. "Right here. Right now. Do we become what destroyed New Jeju, or do we prove we're better? The Thalraks won't surrender. You know that. We either accept their defiance, or we obliterate them. There's a third option," a voice said from the doorway. Captain Dae-jung stood there. He was thin, exhausted, and carried the weight of grief like a physical thing. But his eyes were clear. "What option?" Taman asked. "The High Command refuses surrender." "Fine. But that civilian message proves not everyone agrees with them. We've spent 14 months proving we can kill. Now we prove we can choose not to. Capper. They murdered your family," Jiho said quietly. "I know. I dream about them every night. I see my sister's face. My nephews. I want them avenged. I want the people who did that to suffer." Dae-jung's hands shook. But they were pacifists. They believed in peace. They wouldn't want this. They wouldn't want us to become murderers to avenge their murder. The room fell silent. Outside, 1,000 ships waited for orders. Below, a planet held its breath. Across the galaxy, species watched to see what humanity would choose. Taman stood up. He walked to the window and looked at the Thalrak's homeworld. Green and blue. Like Earth. Beautiful. Full of life. Full of people who maybe didn't deserve what was coming. "Get me Captain Junho," Taman said. "I'm changing his orders." Junho received the new orders with shock. He read them 3 times to make sure he understood. Then he smiled for the first time in months. It was a sad smile. But it was genuine. All ships, he transmitted. New targeting data incoming. Precision strikes only. Surgical removal of military command and infrastructure. Minimize civilian casualties. We're still warriors. But we're also still human. The bombardment began. It was precise, controlled, and devastating to military targets. The high command bunker was obliterated in seconds. Weapons, factories exploded. Command centers went dark. And in Covenant, command his went dark. But the cities around them stood. The civilians lived. Nari huddled in her home, holding her children as the world shook. She expected death. She got life. When the bombardment stopped, she walked outside. Her city was intact. Damaged, but intact. Her neighbors emerged, crying with relief. From orbit, a message played on every frequency. Thalrak citizens, your high command is dead. Your military is destroyed. But you are alive. We spared you. Remember this. Remember that humanity chose mercy when we could have chosen revenge. Remember that we are capable of both. The message ended. The war ended. After 14 months of blood and fire, it was finally over. 3 months after the war ended, Captain Dae-jung stood at the memorial on Earth. 2 million names were carved into black stone. Every person who died on New Jeju. His sister's name was there. Her family's names. All of them. Preserved forever. The inscription at the base read, "They died, believing in civilization. We fought, so others never have to." Dae-jung traced his sister's name with his finger. "I hope we did right," he whispered. "I hope you would understand." Behind him, someone cleared their throat. It was Admiral Taemin. He looked older, tired, but somehow lighter. Like a weight had been lifted. "The council wants to see us," Taemin said. "Mireille is going back. She asked us to come with her. To answer for what we did? Probably. Does it matter?" Dae-jung looked at the memorial one last time. "No. I suppose it doesn't." On the other side of the galaxy, Communications Officer Hana analyzed reports from the Thalrak's homeworld. The transition was messy. The government had collapsed. Earth peacekeepers maintained order, while the Thalraks rebuilt. It wasn't perfect, but it was working. She had found something interesting in the old military files. Evidence that the New Jeju attack wasn't universally supported. Several Thalraks commanders had refused the order. They were executed for disobedience. The High Command had acted alone, driven by pride and hatred. "This changes things," Hana said to her superior. "How so?" "The whole species wasn't responsible. Just their leaders. We almost committed genocide against millions who opposed the attack. But we didn't. We chose mercy. That's what matters." End quote. Hana nodded slowly. It was true. They had stopped. At the last possible moment, humanity had remembered who they wanted to be. It was enough. Barely. But enough. The Galactic Council chambers were full. Every species sent representatives. Everyone wanted to see what would happen. Humanity had broken every rule, violated every norm, and terrified the entire galaxy. Now they had to answer for it. Mireille walked to the center of the chamber. Dae-jung and Taemin stood beside her. The council speaker looked at them with a mixture of fear and disgust. "Humanity stands accused of war crimes." The speaker began. "Excessive force, targeting civilians, executing prisoners, violations of—" "Stop," Mireille said calmly. "We're not here to be accused. We're here to explain the new rules." The chamber erupted. Delegates shouted. The speaker demanded order. Mireille waited for silence. She got it eventually. Everyone wanted to hear what the humans would say. 2 million of our people died, Mireille said. "We came to you. We asked for justice. You gave us empty words and told us to accept it. You taught us that your rules only protect those strong enough to enforce them. You became monsters, someone shouted. Yes, Mireille agreed. We did. We unleashed the worst parts of humanity. We showed you what we're capable of when we stop being civilized. But here's what you missed. Here's the important part. She paused, looking around the chamber. Every eye was on her. We chose to stop. At the end, when we had the Thalrak's homeworld under our guns, when we could have matched their genocide with our own, we chose mercy. Not because we were weak, not because we couldn't do it, but because we decided to be better than our worst impulses. Admiral Taman stepped forward. The Thalrak's high command is dead. Their military is destroyed. Their species lives under Earth administration until they can govern themselves peacefully. This is justice. It's harsh, but it's just. They murdered our people, and they paid the price. But we did not become them. You still violated every law of war, the council speaker said. Your laws, Daejung said. Your laws that let genocide happen. Your laws that protect the strong and abandon the weak. We don't recognize those laws anymore. We have our own now. Mireille pulled up a document on the central display. The New Jeju Accords, named for the people who died because your system failed them. Here are the new rules. Any species that commits genocide will face immediate human intervention. Any species that targets civilians will face immediate human intervention. Any species that thinks humanity's peace means humanity's weakness will learn otherwise. You can't just declare your own rules, a delegate shouted. We just did, Mireille said. We tried playing by your rules. Our people died. Now we have our own rules, and we have the power to enforce them. You saw what we did to the Thalraks. They were one of the strongest military powers in the galaxy. We dismantled them in 14 months. The chamber went quiet. Everyone had seen. Everyone remembered. We came to space in peace, Mireille continued. We tried to be civilized. We worked hard to leave our violent past behind. You all witnessed what happened when that was used against us. When our attempt to be better was seen as weakness, she looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of every delegate who would look back. We are persistence hunters from a death world. We evolved to chase prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. We fought wars for 10,000 years before we learned to stop. We built weapons that could destroy our own planet and nearly used them. This is what we are. This is what we've always been. We chose peace not because we were weak, but because we knew what we were capable of. The Thalraks made us remember, Taman added. They made us stop being civilized. But here's the thing about humans. We can choose. We chose to stop. We chose mercy. We'll choose peace again. But never forget that it's a choice. If you make us stop choosing peace, if you harm our people, we will show you exactly what 10,000 years of warfare taught us. Captain Daejung spoke last. My sister lived on New Jeju. She was a teacher. She taught Thalrak's children their language. She believed in peace more than anyone I knew. She died because she trusted your system to protect her. I spent 14 months avenging her death. I did things I'll never forgive myself for. But at the end, I remembered what she believed, that we could be better, that we should be better. He looked directly at the council speaker. We're not asking for forgiveness. We're not asking for approval. We're telling you how things are now. Harm no humans, and we remain your peaceful neighbors. We'll trade with you. We'll help you. We'll be the species you thought we were. But harm our people again, and we will respond. Not with your laws, not with your rules, with ours. Mireille stepped forward again. The new Jeju Accords are now in effect. We will enforce them. Anyone who commits genocide in this galaxy will answer to Earth. Anyone who thinks they can act with impunity will learn otherwise. We stopped being civilized once. We chose to become civilized again. Don't ever make us stop a second time. The chamber was silent. Nobody argued. Nobody protested. They had seen what humanity could do. They had no desire to see it again. A small delegate from the Vest species finally spoke. And if we refuse to accept your authority, then refuse, Mireille said simply. But understand this. We're not asking permission. We're not seeking your approval. We're informing you of reality. Humanity has changed. The galaxy has changed. Adapt to it or don't. But don't ever forget what happens when you mistake our peace for weakness. The council session ended. The delegates filed out, whispering among themselves. Some were angry. Some were afraid. All of them understood. The galaxy had a new power, and that power had teeth. Months later, Nari stood in the rebuilt center of her city. Earth forces still patrolled the streets, but they were helpful. Professional. They helped rebuild. They brought food and medicine. They were nothing like she expected. A human soldier saw her watching. He walked over. She tensed, but he just smiled. It's getting better, he said in halting Thalrax. Your city. It will be beautiful again. Why? Nari asked. Why help us? After everything, the soldier looked sad. Because that's who we want to be. We can be monsters. We proved that. But we can also be better. We're choosing to be better. He walked away. Nari watched him go, feeling something she hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. On Earth? The memorial grew. Not just for New Jeju, but for everyone who died in the war. Human and Thalrax. Soldiers and civilians. All of them remembered. All of them mourned. Captain Daejung visited often. Sometimes Admiral Taemin joined him. They didn't talk much. They just stood there, remembering. Remembering what they did. Remembering what they almost became. Remembering what they chose to remain. The galaxy was different now. Species that once ignored Earth's pleas now listened carefully to every word. The council was reorganizing, building new systems with human input. The new Jeju Accords were becoming galactic law. Peace had returned. But it was a different peace. One built not on naive trust, but on clear understanding. Humanity was peaceful by choice, not by nature. As long as everyone remembered that, the peace would hold. Commander Yuna retired. She couldn't do it anymore. The missions, the killing, the darkness. She opened a school on Earth, teaching history, teaching why the war happened, teaching why it must never happen again. Private Hyun taught beside her. He still had nightmares. He always would. But he used them. He made sure every student understood the cost of war. The real cost, paid in souls as well as blood. Secretary Jiho stepped down. He was replaced by someone younger, someone who hadn't lived through the war. But Jiho's final act was to create a new department. Its mission: ensure humanity never forgot what they were capable of, and never forgot why they chose to be better. Years passed. The wounds healed slowly. Trust rebuilt gradually. Humanity remained vigilant but fair. They enforced the new Jeju Accords when necessary, but always with restraint, always remembering the choice they made at the Thalrax homeworld. At the memorial, new visitors came every day. Some were human, mourning their lost. Some were Thalrax, learning their history. Some were from other species, understanding the lesson. The inscription remained. They died believing in civilization. We fought, so others never have to. Below it, someone had added new words. We became monsters, so we could choose to remain human. Captain Dae-jung, now an old man, read those words and nodded. It was the truth. The hard, ugly truth. Humanity had looked into the abyss and jumped in. But they climbed back out. They chose to climb back out. That choice, that single choice to show mercy when revenge was easier, defined humanity more than all the violence that came before it. The galaxy would never forget the war. They would never forget what humanity was capable of. But they would also never forget that humanity chose peace when peace was hardest. And that made all the difference.